Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Switch Review. My name is Jun and in this episode we're reviewing the cotton candy switches. These switches were sent to me by Pancakey, a switch designer slash hobbyist from Hong Kong. This pinkish candy looking switches together with the plastic jar that was shipped together, to me it really looks like a jar of candies from afar. Named after his favorite snack, cotton candy switches are manufactured by Huano and it's a tactile switch with a 2-stage spring in it. You might think, what is a 2-stage spring? We will talk more about this spring in the later part of this video. We will also talk about each component of the switch, do a stem wobble test, show you guys how I loop this switch, of course a sound test and a typing test. Without further ado, let's take this switch apart. Let's start with the top housing. As you can see, it's in pink translucent color. It's made of polycarbonate with the manufacturer's logo on the top. Looking around the rails of the inside of the top housing, there is no factory lube as well. Moving on to the bottom housing. Bottom housing has no legs, therefore it's a 3-pin bottom. Also in a pink translucent color and also made of polycarbonate. No factory lube can be found on both rails. No factory lube on the base of the bottom housing as well. Now for the springs. It's a 2-stage long spring with a 50 grams actuation force and a 60 gram bottom out force. It's actually my first time trying a 2-stage long spring. This type of spring gives a faster, stronger upstroke, therefore increasing the upstroke tactility. Compared to other springs, long springs also gives a higher initial force, but a more even force when you press down on the switch. For the stem, it's made of palm and not factory lubed. Pancakey also claims that they have spent much time researching on the stem to be in a perfect length for the switch at about 13.68 mm with a travel distance of 20 mm. Now I'm gonna show you guys how I loop this switch. We will start with the bottom housing. We'll be using 203 grade 0 or the equivalent 3203 for this part. Then place half the size of a grain of rice amount of lube on each rail. If you happen to have a dropper bottle, you can also save a lot of time by using that to place the lube on the rails too. Once the lubing is done, we're gonna film the switch. I personally do not see any significant improvement in terms of the wobble. A wobble comparison is up next and you guys can be the judge. I'm using DESKEYS film for this switch because I prefer the deeper sound signature of this film compared to the other films that I have tried. Lubing of the spring is gonna be donut dipped. Make sure the spring hole is exposed. Doing this will make sure that the post hole at the bottom housing will not be covered by lube blob, or it will cause a vapor lock resistance resulting in inconsistent feel and popping sound when you're typing it. Now take note when you're closing the switch, you want to make sure that the stem is pressed all the way down when you're snapping the top on. And this technique applies to all the tactile switch when you're lubing it. It's important to not damage the leaf as it will reduce the tactility. And check around the switch, make sure all the 4 corners are snapped properly. You can press the switch a few times to spread the loop on the rails. And you're done. A wobble comparison between the stock version and the filmed version is up next. Comparing the tactile bumps between the U4Ts, the Yoke Pandas and the Cotton Candies, I would say the U4Ts by Gazoo has the sharpest tactile bump, and the bumps between the Yoke Pandas and the Cotton Candies are similar, but the upstroke tactility of the Cotton Candies are slightly more obvious than the Yoke Pandas due to the two-staged long springs. So it comes down to the sound preference between the Yoke Pandas and the Cotton Candies if you really want to pick one. Now for the pricing of the Cotton Candy switch, per 100 switches only costs you 160 Chinese yuan, which is only about $25 US. At the time of this video, Cotton Candy switches are only available on Taobao, but Pancakey will be setting up stores on platforms like Shopee and websites like Shopify, as well as distributing to other vendors, so make sure to follow announcements from your local vendor closely. I personally think that Cotton Candy switches are a very affordable switch. For the price of $25 for 100 switches, I would say the Cotton Candy switches are definitely a must try. And that's all for this video. A purchase link is in the description. And thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Like and subscribe if you want to see more.